Welcome to Justice Counts, the podcast that goes beyond the law to what's important to you. Equal justice for all is a guidepost for our nation, but how do we achieve that? Here are your hosts, writer-commentator Bob Gaddy and novelist-attorney Mark M. Bello.
Hey guys, today Mark Bello and I are with Tara Paustenbach, who, with a background in sales and marketing, has partnered with Prepaid Legal Services since 1998. She recruits, trains, and develops associates across the U.S. and Canada to market the company's products, LegalShield and ID Shield, for home and business. For Prepaid Legal, she served as regional manager and regional VP in Southern California, and most recently as regional vice president in Texas, helping to develop people for positions of leadership. Tara is passionate about prepaid legal services, and we'll soon find out why. By the way, during the COVID crisis, Tara has worked from home and managed to raise and homeschool her 14-year-old son, so she's been wearing a lot of hats. Tara, welcome to Justice Counts.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Hey, tell us a little bit about your company, Tara.
I will. I'm happy to. And I know, as I've gotten to know Mark via email here over the last month or so, I know the premise of what your podcast is all about, and I'm excited to be a part of it from the aspect of equal access and affordable access to justice, because that's really what I'm passionate about. And the company that I'm been a part of for the last 24 years is just a vehicle for that. I am proud actually to be a part of our company that is named Prepaid Legal Services, Inc. And it's been around for 50 years. So it celebrates its 50th anniversary this year. And I've been with them for 24 years this year. And what it does is it provides a subscription service that promotes accessibility to the legal system. And so that subscription plan for individuals or families or small business owners gives an unlimited access to a full service law firm in that member state for a low and affordable flat monthly fee. And so the concept was really kind of started in this country, at least, by our company. But the concept has been over in Europe for over 100 years. And a lot of the nations over in Europe, including like Germany, I'm a military brat. So I lived in Germany for 5 years growing up. And in Germany, at least up to about 10 years ago, you couldn't even renew your driver's license without showing proof of your legal plan. And so the idea of legal, insurance, if you will, over there is as commonplace as healthcare is over here. And while it's still a relatively new, concept here in North America, I think more and more people are understanding the need for it because everything becomes legal. And I think specifically since about 2015, everything has been exponentially more legal. And just having that access and being able to afford it is where we get equal justice.
Tara, thanks for visiting Justice Cons. I appreciate it. Prepaid legal service. I've been practicing law now for almost 45 years, and prepaid legal services has been around all of that time. So the lawyers and the public have certainly had enough experience in evaluating how well companies like yours service the cause of justice. Can you tell us, please, how do prepaid legal services providers make affordable access to attorneys possible?
Well, the concept really was probably like the original crowdsourcing concept, much like insurance, but without all the penalties of insurance. Whereas we don't want to use our auto insurance or homeowners insurance, or we don't have to use our health insurance, but we all buy in and then we can access services as we want. And that's the concept behind, the prepaid legal services model, whereas everyone pays, a flat fee per month to whether it's a regional area or even a national area. Some of the companies let me just preface by saying this. There are about a dozen or so different companies that offer legal services or even prepaid legal services. And none of them are really set up the exact same way that we are. And I think a lot of it has to do with just experience in the industry, the long-term relationships with some of the biggest law firms in every state. But the concept is we all pay a flat fee, let's say $20 a month, $30 a month. And in our region, let's say, for example, here in Texas, everyone's paying $30 a month. And to give you a real number, our Texas provider law firm is earning about $1.3 million a month right now. And LegalShield, our company, Prepaid Legal Services Inc. / LegalShield, I'm gonna slip up and say that a lot. Sorry about that in advance, but LegalShield pays them $1.3 million a month to provide an array of benefits. And so some benefits are included with the services, and then others are available at a minimum 25% discount. But that law firm is a dedicated law firm to the members in that state, and it's set up that way in every state or province.
If we dumb this down a little bit, I presume that the people who use your service infrequently subsidize those who use it frequently. Yes.
Yeah, like the model of insurance itself.
Right.
You know.
And how are the legal services delivered? For who's providing them? I know that the companies like LegalZoom,
yeah,
and Rocket Lawyer,
yeah,
and similar companies have large legal forms libraries for do-it-yourself legal services, and perhaps you do that too. But do they? I don't think they provide direct access to lawyers like you do. Is that correct?
LegalZoom is starting to. And since you brought them up by name, I'll feel it's okay to mention them as well, and not in a negative light. It's just LegalShield, our company, Prepaid Legal Services, Inc., has been around for 50 years, and for the first 25 years that our company was in business, they did what all the companies outside of ours are still doing now. And it's having what you would call an open panel system. So LegalZoom did start out as a document library, and you can buy, a contract, and then maybe even have an actual lawyer look it over. Rocket Lawyer, Avo for a while when they were in business, and some of the other, few companies that are just specifically online, they have this open network where any attorney can sign up to receive leads, so to speak. And those leads will help that attorney maybe increase their business. Maybe they'll, a member will get the right kind of an attorney to speak with, because as you both know, there's so many areas of law. And if you've got an estate planning question, you should speak to an estate planning lawyer and not a tax attorney, for example, or not a real estate attorney. And one of the challenges that LegalShield found early on in those first 25 years is that they couldn't guarantee that they would have the right attorneys partnered with the members who needed that specific area of law. And so with our company specifically, and I can speak to that in as far as how our services are delivered, in 1994, we came up with what we call a closed provider system, whereas in every state, now province, because we're throughout all of Canada as well, we have a provider law firm for that state. Florida, we have 2 in Florida, but every other state, province has one provider law firm. And that provider law firm is actually contracted with our company. And the contract is pretty intense. And it's everything from must pick up the phone by the 3rd ring, must have a return phone call within 8 business hours, contract turnaround within 3 business days. You have to actually be nice to the people that are on the phone. You go to customer care school. You can't talk down to them. You can't be condescending to them. The provider law firm is tasked with making sure that they have either in-house or access to a lawyer in every area of law. Like here in Texas, cattle law is a big deal. In California, entertainment law, is a bigger deal. And so every area of law must be covered. And Texas is a huge state, as you know, while our provider law firm is located in Fort Worth, which is like up at the top of the state. That provider law firm is also now tasked with making sure that they've got referral lawyers throughout every nook and cranny in that state, so that if a traffic ticket needs to be represented, if someone gets sued in court, that attorney in El Paso, isn't going to be driving there from Fort Worth, but they're going to be sent there and paid for by the provider law firm for the benefits that are covered under that membership.
You anticipated my next question, or my follow-up question, which if you only have one or two firms in the entire state, there has to be some kind of
network,
referral network, that correct?
Yeah. So that all those referral lawyers answer to the provider law firm, which then answers to the company.
And a continued follow-up on that, on the initial question, the concept of the lawyer being nice to the person on the phone.
Yeah.
I presume that's enforced by some kind of survey or complaint network that you handle?
100%. Yeah. That's what, so I mentioned those first 25 years, they weren't able to have the accountability. They couldn't follow through with the attorneys that were just signing up to get extra leads. Now, every member, so the 800 number that's plugged into the provider law firm in every state is owned by LegalShield. And every call that comes in, and we're getting like 2.2 million calls annually. Wow. Across North America, that every call that goes in is tracked with a file number. And so the company, LegalShield, knows if that file number has been in the system for too long, or if it's a contract situation, if it's been in there for more than a week, it should be handled. And then for all the members that use this service, randomly 25% are surveyed. Those surveys are then sent to the home office in the form of a report card. And all of our provider law firms are on a 60-day negotiable contract. So if they don't get A's or work hard to get and maintain A's on their report card status, they can be replaced. But they don't want to be replaced because, like our Texas law firm here, is making $1.3 million a month. And so it's really it's an in-depth system, but the biggest winner is the member. And the accountability falls on the actual lawyers to provide great service because their long-term income comes from retaining members. So
you said the calls are tracked. There's a confidentiality issue.
There's a file number that's tracked.
But we're talking about tracking, not eavesdropping, correct?
Just the number. Yeah. The intake number that's linked to a call, but not a recording at all, but just the intake number.
Okay.
What's the largest customer base for the type of services that that you guys provide?
Me. The mom, who wants to make sure that she has access to her own law firm to ask questions, to have her contracts reviewed before she leases a car, to deal with the landscape company that wrecked my tree. It's just the individual and family. That's about, we've got about almost 4.5 million, we say, lives that are covered. And the majority of them are individuals and families. We've got about 150 to 200,000 small business owners. And that's, also like me, self-employed, work from home, the cake shop lady up the street, the landscaper, but just everyday people.
If
John Q. Public,
say I have, I've signed up for the service, and I get a traffic ticket. So what happens? What do I do?
You take a picture of it and you upload it to your provider law firm, and the law firm will get that ticket. They'll have an attorney who specializes in traffic law give you a call back and consult with you on that issue and determine whether or not it's even defensible. So if you deserved that ticket, the attorney is going to tell you that, and they're going to say, well, what you could do is maybe go to defensive driving school. If it's defensible, then they will have an attorney go to traffic court for you, or even on your behalf. Like if you are in South Carolina, let's say you were out here visiting your family in Texas and you got your ticket in the middle of Alabama somewhere, you can send it into your provider firm, who would send it into the Alabama provider law firm, who would then send a traffic attorney to court on your behalf.
Okay, so is there a charge for that in addition to the monthly fee that I pay?
No, that would be a covered situation.
Okay.
And there's quite a bit of benefit that's included in the plan.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, Tara, following up on Bob's question, traffic tickets
Mhm.
are kind of a unique breed. There's politics involved in traffic tickets.
Yeah.
And a person who hires a lawyer, and I know this from experience, not only handling other people's traffic tickets, but handling my
Oh,
own.
you don't
Yeah.
get traffic tickets, do you, Mark?
Actually, I just got one. There's Florida has traffic cameras,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
apparently I ran a red light without knowing I ran a red light, and they show my car going through this light that was yellow as far as I was concerned, but it was very clearly red as I went through it. But forget that for a second. The point I was going to make is I paid the ticket, but the point I'm making is that if hiring a lawyer in a traffic ticket situation, even if you're guilty, is something that results in a negotiation.
Mhm.
And sometimes they'll give you a non-moving.
Mhm.
Sometimes they'll lower the fine. Sometimes they'll
lower
charge
the
you
points.
Sometimes they'll lower the points, or
Mhm.
I mean, is that available through
Yeah.
prepaid legal services, or
Yeah.
do you have to have a what I'm going to call legal innocence?
No, I mean, so I have a friend out here. I live in technically Austin, but I'm right on the border of Driftwood, and he lives right around the corner. Before I share the stats on my friend's experiences behind the wheel, I will just preface it by saying that, our company LegalShield does not condone speeding. We are not out here trying to get people out of, doing
Sure.
things that they shouldn't be doing. This is not what it's for. But my friend Bob, and I have driven with him before, and I don't like driving with him, but a few times that I have driven with him,
I don't like driving with Bob either. Go ahead.
He drives fast, and he has had a membership with our company for 13 years.
Oh my.
He's been pulled over 12 times. Of the 12 times, he was ticketed 9 times. Of the 9 times that he was ticketed, he still had 0 points added to his driving record, and to this day is considered a preferred driver by his insurance company. And
because of you guys.
because of LegalShield. There's and I don't even know the term, you guys probably do, but like gosh, it's like a adjudication or something. Deferred adjudication.
Take it under advisement.
Okay. And every one of those 9 tickets, the majority of them, the lawyers are like, okay, we'll just do this. And they delayed it and delayed it and delayed it until finally the court said, forget it.
What basically happens is the court takes it under advisement, and if you don't do anything bad in a certain period of time,
like get another ticket,
then the ticket goes away.
Okay.
So if your friend Bob behaves himself for a year, let's say, and gets a ticket a year and a day later, he's got a clean record when he gets the second
That's
ticket.
about his average, because 12 years, 9 tickets. Yeah.
Are traffic tickets like the most frequently requested service, or
No.
what are the most frequently requested services?
Well, I pulled that up just so that I could have it, because every year they put this out for us. Our company does, so that we can see exactly, what people are using it for. So
let me guess that one's a will.
That's actually the second most requested.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then the first is consumer finance. So vehicle financing issues, billing disputes, credit reports and repair, payday loans and title loans. How do I get a payday loan? How much do I qualify for? Et cetera, et cetera. That's all under consumer finance as the number 1 top area of requested help. Number 2 is estate planning. And
I would not have guessed that that consumer finance would be the number one.
well, and that also includes like, you're getting ripped off by a company, or you clicked on something to buy on the internet for your free sample and you paid shipping for $4.95, and then all of a sudden you get billed 195 days, $195 2 weeks later. You didn't realize that you signed up for an auto ship because you didn't read the fine print, all that stuff. And I've used it for that myself.
Right.
Estate planning is number 2. In our company, this isn't a do-it-yourself kit. It's like a $1,300 valued will. So the estate planning attorneys do the whole package. So last will, living will, healthcare directive, financial power of attorney, minor stress, everything. And they prepare one for every covered member of the family. And for our plan, I can't speak to the others, but like the whole family. So member, spouse, or partner, all the kids living at home unmarried to the age of 26 are all covered for that same rate of $29.95 a month. And so estate planning would be for mom, dad, and maybe, a 21-year-old dependent who's full-time in college, and they can each get their own full estate planning done. And then number 3 is landlord tenant issues, eviction, rental, damages to home, wrongful eviction, which has been a big one through COVID with all of, the pandemic and all of that. Reviewing lease agreements, breach of rental contract, all of that. Number 4 is real estate in general, purchase or sale of a home, right to home in a divorce, real estate closing, review of residential loan documents. And then number 5 is family law, divorce, adoption, elder law, which is a big one as well, juvenile matters, prenup agreements, grandparents' rights, etc. So those are the top 5 areas of law requested by our members last year in 2021.
Where do traffic tickets fall?
Traffic tickets didn't even make the top 5.
So $29.95, that was just for the estate planning portion of it, or is that the whole?
And so I warned Mark ahead of time, like I've presented this information, and it's like I don't want to sound like I'm doing a pitch here or anything, but what you get for the personal plan. So you can't call in and ask about any business related legal issues, because then you would need a business plan. But for the personal plan, the family gets unlimited telephone consultations, letters and phone calls on behalf of the member to right or wrong. So someone's overcharging you, ripping you off, etc. And that's on an unlimited basis, but 1 per subject matter. Contract and document review, up to 15 pages per occurrence, but unlimited numbers of contracts and documents through the membership year. Estate planning, traffic ticket defense. One area that's a really big one is motor vehicle representation in certain criminal cases. So if we were involved in a car accident and someone was killed, as long as we are not under the influence and we're driving legally, registered, and all of that, they provide a 100% defense, which can be like 6 figures, as you know. And then trial defense covers just the member and spouse. If you are named in a civil suit, you start out with 60 hours the first membership year, and that increases automatically for the first 5 years by 60 hours more each year. So you cap out at 300 hours of trial time, just in case you need to use it. IRS audit services is 50 hours a year with a tax attorney. If you're named in an IRS audit, they'll represent you through that audit. 24/7.
Bob probably needs that.
What's that?
Bob probably needs that.
We could all use that.
Yeah, right.
24/7 emergency access is if you or any covered family member are stopped, arrested, detained, you feel like your rights are being violated. This is a big one with, especially since, the BLM protests of 2020. This was a huge aspect of our membership. It's 24/7 access to your own law firm if you're ever feeling like your rights are being violated. And then 25% discount on anything that's not already covered. And then the only area of our service that has a trial period is the uncontested divorce, uncontested adoption, legal name change, and legal separation are covered after the 91st day. So all of that is for $29.95 a month.
Holy mackerel.
It's a good deal.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
Now, that's different from legal aid, right? I mean, this is a prepaid legal service. It's
Yeah.
nothing to do with legal aid, right?
No, and I think just like I know a lot of attorneys have a bad taste in their mouth for companies like LegalZoom, because I know I mean even our own lawyers have had to kind of undo some of the DIY LegalZoom projects that people have done, thinking that they can, be their own lawyer because they can download a document. There's a misconception that, well, we're nothing more than a glorified legal aid that costs more money. And that's not at all what it is. I mean, legal aid is, you all know probably better than I do, even that, it's a governmental support system set up for those who cannot otherwise afford a lawyer. And it's how we help provide, equal access, even though it's not really always that equal. What Legal Shield is, it's a for-profit business. And so our lawyers they're dedicated. These aren't lawyers that are just giving pro bono extra, spare time that they have. This is their full-time job.
Okay.
I'm all about quality representation.
Yeah.
I don't want to pick on LegalZoom. Let's just call this do-it-yourself legal service providers. I'm not a big fan of those because I don't think the public in general can really do their own legal work. You get back to that old saying, he who represents himself as a fool for a client or a fool for a lawyer. In your situation, or in situations like yours, other companies who do what you do, how do you screen your lawyers and make sure that they're the best for the particular service that's being provided? How do clients know that they're getting good lawyers and good advice?
We'll get Tara's answer right after this.
Thank you. I kind of touched on it earlier, but thank you for asking that, because it is important. That open panel versus closed panel system. The open panel is what LegalZoom and Rocket Lawyer and all the others use right now, which is a cattle call. Hey, we need you to help fill in some shifts here for our business. Be a referral lawyer. There's really not a whole lot of accountability. There's no guarantee that a member of that subscription who needs a specific area of law represented or consulted with even is going to get the right kind of lawyer. And that's that open panel system. With our closed panel, which only our company has, part of that contract that our provider law firm has with the company, part of that includes that every lawyer who is even allowed to talk with our members has to have a minimum of 4 years experience working in that specific area of law. And the average company-wide, the average length of time that our lawyers that are part of our provider network have been practicing is 22 years. And of those 22 years, the average is 15 years that they've been working within the LegalShield system. And it's really kind of cool, because you would never think, like, we have our big company conference coming up this week, which, they go over all the numbers and all of that. And we have lawyers up on stage sharing stories about how they've been able to help a member. But it's really cool to see these lawyers that came from corporate law, where their whole focus was in billable hours, to now where they're just paid a salary to be on the phone all day helping people, talking to the grandma that otherwise couldn't afford to hire any lawyer, let alone what they typically used to charge, and they are really kind of on board with the whole mission, and they're passionate about being part of this movement, for lack of a better word, to really provide equal access and affordable access in a meaningful way that isn't legal aid, which is, well, we'll get to you when we can. It's, you're our biggest client. Like here in Texas and in California, we are the biggest client for that provider law firm. Our provider law firm in Texas specifically stopped taking any other clients about 12 years ago, because LegalShield pays them so much money. And they're like, all right, well, we'll just grow with the membership base in Texas. and it's awesome.
If they put all their eggs in one basket,
They
like
did.
that, they better be nice to your clients.
That's right. Because we own that 800 number that spews the money into their account.
Absolutely. Before I ask my next question, it dawns on me that you provide two different services, it seems to me. One is that the service is discounted, for lack of a better way to say it, or less expensive than it otherwise would be. But the other way is that services that would not otherwise even be challenged, problems that wouldn't be challenged, suddenly you have somebody to write a letter.
Yeah.
Suddenly you have somebody to make a phone call. Those things would never happen.
Yep.
Justice would never be done if that person didn't have a service like yours. So that's
That
kind
is
of cool.
It is cool.
I can see that from, my own personal experience. There's been times when I thought, geez, if I could have, I should fight this. Well, I need a lawyer to do that. Oh, screw it. I'm not going to spend that money. And it's
not worth it. Yeah.
And so then whoever it was gets off the hook, and that's not right. So that is, Mark, that's a great point.
A lot of big companies kind of bank on that, I think.
Well, it's not only that, Bob. You got a problem with a contractor. He was supposed to cut your lawn, didn't show up or something like that, and you prepaid him $25. A lawyer bills out at $150 an hour to $450 an hour. You literally can't do it. You can't pay for a $25 problem because the lawyer is more expensive than the problem. So this eliminates that. It's kind of cool.
Can I share the most absurd thing I've ever used LegalShield for?
I can't wait.
So I live in Austin, which it's in the middle of the state, and I drove up to a city right in the middle between Dallas and Fort Worth to do a business event. It's a place called Arlington, and I was picking up a girlfriend. So she was getting in my car, and I looked over and I was like, oh my gosh, there's a vending machine. It was a Monster, the energy drink. Like, I want a Monster. So I went over there, scrounged out of my coin jar, and I put my $2.75 in the soda machine. And the 16-ounce Monster came out, but nothing I did was going to be able to get the can, a 16-ounce, the tall, thinner cans, out of the hole that was designed for 12-ounce cans. So I wasn't like mad about it, but I was like, okay, well, just for the sake of this person that owns a vending machine, let me call him and let him know that no one's getting anything out of here because my can is now stuck. I was 4 hours from home. I didn't expect, anyone to come out and fix it for me right then. I didn't even expect a refund. So I called the number on the vending machine just to let this person know, like, hey, you need to come and service your machine. And the rudest guy I've ever spoken to picked up the phone. And I was trying to be very kind. I was like, hey, I'm at so-and-so and your vending machine, 16-ounce, blah, blah, blah. And he said to me, I'll bleep it out, but he said, well, what do you want me to do about it? And he called me a B word. And I was like, no, you didn't. Oh my gosh. And I was like, you have a good day, sir. And I hung up. And I, said to my girlfriend, I was like, oh my gosh, could you believe that he said this? She's like, oh, wow, that's awful. You should call LegalShield. I'm like, I'm not going to call LegalShield. And then I went to my business event that night and, full disclosure, maybe had a glass of wine or two. And by the end of the night, I was like, I'm going to call LegalShield. And so I had a big drive home the next morning. And so on the way there, when you call in to the number, they give you an intake number, and then they have the right kind of an attorney call you back. Well, it was a long drive. And so I called the law firm, and then the attorney called me back while I was all on this drive. And I explained the situation to him, and he laughed, the lawyer. He's like, oh my God. He's like, that's wrong. He's like, but what do you want me to do about it? And I was like, I don't know, but I don't think that he should be able to talk to people that way. And he's like, you know what? You're right. He was like, you live in Austin. This is in Arlington. He's not going to drive all the way down there. Give me your home address. I'm like, okay. And so I gave him my home address, and I didn't think anything of it. And then 10 days later, I got in the mail an envelope with chicken scratch writing on it. And I could tell there's coins in there, 4 stamps to mail $2.75 to me in coins and a yellow Post-it note in there that said, "I can't believe you called a lawyer." And I was like, boom.
Who's the B word now? B word.
That is really funny.
Oh, that was absurd. And I've also used it, for tens of thousands of dollars in taxes. So it's benefited
Wow.
me about six figures.
No kidding. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, Bob, these are things that nobody would ever
Yeah.
contest
Yeah.
if without
Hey,
a
before
service like
we started the show, you were telling us about some other areas that you used. How about laying that on us?
Okay. And from what I understand, Mark, in our communication, your audience is common.
American.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So, okay. So I will choose my words wisely. Where I live is right on the edge of Austin. And the further away from Austin you go, the more extremism we would come across. And I'm sure it's this way in many areas of the nation. Well, one of the big, huge situations through the last 2 years was the great mask debate. And then that turned into the great vaccination debate. And I'll even go so far as to say that our school board meeting made national news. So these are the people that are living among us. Alex Jones lives not far from where I live. And someone who probably never misses an Alex Jones show lives 2 streets away from me. And my son, who's now 14, when he was 13, the vaccination was approved for him to 12 and above to go get his vaccination. And I was really proud of him because, like any other kid, he doesn't like shots, but he volunteered, he signed up, as soon as it was available, like 6 days later, he was there getting his first shot. He wanted me to take a picture and he wanted me to post it on Facebook. I have kind of a larger audience. And he wanted me to post it on Facebook because he wanted to show that he was being a leader. And that made me really proud, as a mom. And so I posted the photo, and this neighbor who's 2 streets over and I are not connected on Facebook. So someone must have taken a screenshot of my post and shared that with her. And then she turned around and she shared it in a very conservative, white Christian conservative page here locally, and shamed him and shamed me. And you can say anything that you want about me, but you get my son involved and we're going to have an issue. And I was irate. I mean, I shamed her publicly at our next school board so that her name was on public record. And then I called the law firm. And it just so turned out that the lawyer, she was a woman, which I was like, yes. So the lawyer that called me had a child with high risk conditions. He was a preemie. He's got underdeveloped lungs. So she's going through a lot of the same things that I'm going here with my son. I pulled my son out to homeschool the last 2 years to keep our family safe, all of that. And when she heard what this neighbor of mine had done, she was like, "Oh no, that's terrible. I'm going to write a letter." She's like, "What does she do?" I'm like, "Well, she's a real estate broker." She's a real estate agent who works for a local brokerage. She's like, okay. And she went through and she did research, because research is a part of it as well. And she researched all the ethics for realtors here in the state of Texas, pulled up the Texas Association of Realtors ethics that are posted publicly, cited them in a 2.5-page letter that basically threatened her to say, cease and desist, don't ever use the names of my client, me, the member, and or my son ever again on social media in any capacity. And if you do, my client has a treasury of screenshots, which I do, of yours showing defamation of character, bigotry, racism to others in your community. And we will go after you, starting with going to your real estate broker. And this neighbor, this is about a year ago, this neighbor she avoids being even in the same parking lot as me. And it's awesome. And she actually did some just very immature, bad behavior to a gay couple, 2 men who have 2 children here in our neighborhood. Were driving we have a little gated community, and they were driving down the road, and then you get onto like the freeway. and she was tailgating them with their kids in the car and rolling down the window and screaming out, at them. And they are also clients of mine with LegalShield. So the law firm is writing a letter to them as well, but the law firm in that situation even suggested that they go ahead and get a police report. And so a lot of us, because of that instance, a lot of us in our neighborhood became members of LegalShield because of actions by people like her. And there are quite a few of them in our area.
People associate prepaid legal services with creating what I'm going to call free, quote unquote, services. But there are many legal services that have different variations. We mentioned estate planning. There's a simple will. There's a complicated estate. May I presume, and I want to follow this up with a contingency fee question. May I presume that if you want a complicated estate done, you can have it done, but not for free. It would be discounted. Is that correct?
If you, by complicated estate, you are talking about like a trust, like a family trust, that's a 25%
like
discount.
that.
Yeah. But what is included with our estate planning is the whole will package, comprehensive, complete will. So last will, living will, healthcare directive, financial power of attorney, minor's trust, power of attorney, all of that. It's like I said, a $1,300 value if a lawyer here in town does it. It's the whole package, and it's included.
I raised estate planning because it was at least to me, an obvious example. Other services, criminal. If you commit a misdemeanor, that may be covered. If you commit a felony and you have to have a major trial done, I presume that's something that's done at a discount.
Right. The only type of criminal charge that would be covered is in that example that I shared. Whereas if we were involved in a tragic car accident and we're licensed and it was just an accident, we're insured, we're registered, we're not under the influence of anything, usually that triggers a criminal charge like negligent homicide or vehicular manslaughter. And that is covered at 100% win, lose, or draw. And that's actually saved our members 6 figures in defense. Sure. But if you rob a bank, if you get a DUI, if you do something that is illegal, then you can hire a criminal attorney at a 25% discount.
And are there other services like that are discounted rather than free?
A contested divorce, a contested adoption, childcare, like child support services, child custody services. If you wanted to file a patent, for example, things like that you'd have to hire an attorney for anyway. With us, at least you get a 25% discount. Okay,
so my point is that
it can't cover everything for $30 a month.
Right, sure. Rather non-complex cases are quote free unquote.
Or included.
Complex.
Yeah.
Included.
Yeah.
Complex, better term than free.
Yeah.
Complex matters are discounted, which leads me to my next question, which is personal injury cases, employment discrimination, wrongful termination, whistleblower actions. I presume that those contingency fee type legal actions are discounted somehow?
They are on a case-by-case basis. One of the first stories I ever heard about how LegalShield was used was a contingency case. And it was one of those like, oh my gosh, awesome, superstar stories that you hear, but that's not typical. So with our company, LegalShield, that's the only one I can speak to. If the case is so strong that the lawyers believe that it's a slam dunk, oftentimes they'll take it on a contingency and on a lesser percentage because of the discount included to the members. So they'll actually give the member client, in this case, more than they would normally take if he or she was not a member of LegalShield. For like wrongful termination and the other examples that you gave, if it can be resolved with consultation and a letter or phone call, maybe a contract review, included in there as well, they're going to cover that. if it goes beyond that one letter, that demand letter, or the action to make it right, then that's when the 25% discount is going to kick in.
A 25% discount on the contingency fee?
20, well, in the case of the employment law or the wrongful
Well,
termination, for example,
Well,
it would be a 20.
let's make it even simpler. Let's say an auto accident.
Yeah.
You sue the other person for negligence.
If you are the plaintiff,
Non-at fault part.
yeah, then it's a 25% discount. If you are being sued, it's covered through a schedule of hours.
Well, typically, unless you have insurance, then the insurance company takes care of your defense anyway.
Yeah, I'm not a lawyer. That's why I have a LegalShield plan.
All right. Well, I can tell you that what you're talking about, and for the public to understand, everybody has a policy limit.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get involved in an auto accident and someone's badly hurt, and your policy is, let's say, limited to $20,000, what LegalShield would probably do is cover you for the overage and handle
Through the schedule of hours. Yeah, if it's
and handle a lawsuit that involves your personal liability over your insurance policy in tandem with your insurance company. But anyway, we're out of time. This has been great. I've enjoyed this. I've learned some things. Is there anything else you'd like the people to know?
I just would, highly recommend that everybody have, if not our plan, and, if not through me, but I recommend that you have this, because life happens to us all and we never know when it's going to happen. As we have all these coverage plans in our lives for the what ifs, and this is really legal. I mean, LegalShield is really like that one plan that makes everything else that we kind of have to pay for in life do what it's supposed to do when we actually need to use it. I've used it to have my health insurance company cover $8,000 in medical bills that they tried to balk on when I had a 1-week stay in the hospital, totally unexpected. I've used it my parents have actually used it for a homeowner's insurance issue, a car insurance issue, and it's just like, we are forced to pay for all these expensive things. And for $1 a day, this is like the enforcer, and it's a really great plan.
Well, listen, Tara, thanks for joining us today on Justice Counts. It was really informative and a fascinating conversation. Mark Bello and I are grateful, as he said. And thanks, everybody, for taking a listen. Meanwhile, you know what? If you haven't done so already, you've got to check out Mark Bello's Ripped from the Headlines legal thrillers. All of them are available online at Amazon and other major online booksellers. He's got quite the hero in attorney Zachary Blake, who fights for justice on all fronts. His books are Betrayal of Faith, Betrayal of Justice, Betrayal in Blue, Betrayal in Black, Betrayal High, Supreme Betrayal, Betrayal at the Border, and his latest, You Have the Right to Remain Silent. For more information about these books...
No betrayal?
I was going to say.
No betrayal?
Well, you know what? I think your agent said enough of the betrayal. Anyway, for more information, just check out markmbello.com. Until next time, this is Bob Gaddy from Mark Bello signing off from Justice Counts.